some of our Million Cups friends on this fabulous article in AMP. So if you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. Glenna, who's usually here and has her company Notamals, and Spencer with like a million different medical companies these days, and Iana with My Color of Beauty, are all the beautiful cover models for AMP. And then there's also a fantastic story inside. So let's congratulate them on that.
Thank you, Jess. That was sweet. I did not know she was going to do this, but welcome to 1 Million Cups. I see a few familiar faces, obviously. Welcome back. And then for those who have never been here, I'll give a quick synopsis. 1 Million Cups is a Kauffman Foundation initiative. Everybody's heard of Kauffman. They're all things entrepreneurship. And the whole goal is to share 1 million cups of coffee, talk about entrepreneurship, and advance our local economy through said coffee and conversations. So today we have a really special thing. SBIR Road Tour. Everybody knows what an SBIR grant is, pretty much. How many people have wrote one? Yes, exactly. It's a very hard thing to do. It's very tedious, and it takes a high skill level. And it's one of those things that unless you do it a lot, you're just not going to do it well. I've written one grant, and needless to say, I did not get the funding. Boo-hoo. But luckily, we have resources like the people at the ASBTDC. That's a mouthful. But they are great. I've used them for consulting. I've used them for different things. And now we're going to hear Rebecca Norman come up and talk about the wonderful world of grant writing and SBIR. So give her a warm welcome, guys.
No? Yes. All right. Okay. So thanks again. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself and about our organization for those of you who aren't familiar. And it looks like more seats, maybe. I don't know. My name is Rebecca Norman. I'm an innovation consultant with the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. We are a organization that's jointly funded by the Small Business Administration and by the university. So we're really your taxpayer dollars at work. So we do encourage anyone throughout the state that's interested in starting a business to reach out to us. We have a myriad of different services for wherever you at or in your stage of developing your business, even if you're just at the idea stage. And in my role as innovation consultant, I work statewide to assist specifically with researchers who are looking at new innovative products and services that may be a fit for funding within the federal government through their Small Business Innovation Research Program. So this is just an overview of the services that we offer through our center. We have 3 primary services. I don't know if I mentioned before, we also have 6 other regional centers throughout the state. So even our Little Rock Center is kind of like the headquarters for the ASBTDC. We do have a statewide presence with our other centers. All these centers offer these services of training, market research, and consulting. Training can take a different variety of forms. We have classroom training events that are at our centers and at different locations that are maybe more convenient for the community. And we also have lots of webinars. So if you're the kind of person that's hard to break away from your office for any reason, we have those on a regular rotating basis. You can find out more through our events page about those. Actually took a little screenshot of our page so you can see how this looks. We have one of those 3-bar drop-down menus that will get you there from our main site. And here you can see our different center locations, and you can go there to see what the next events are coming up. Actually, was just over at Arkansas Tech University. I did an intro to SBIR STTR workshop over there. So it's try to get away to different locations as much as I can to spread the word about this program that I focus on. So now that I've kind of given you a little bit of background, I'd like to tell you just a bit about the Small Business Innovation Research, Small Business Technology Transfer Program for those of you who aren't familiar, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't. It's a fairly niche program that's meant for research-based entrepreneurs who have new product or service ideas that are at a very early stage but have strong potential commercial merit in the marketplace to serve a significant need. And so this program, this is a federally funded mechanism where agencies that have over $1 million in their external research and development budget are required to set aside a portion of that budget. Right now it's about 3%, just for small businesses that have an interest in and are qualified to submit proposals and receive funding to develop their ideas. The goal is to invest in small businesses since they are the largest source of new job growth in the United States. They also are considered our nation's brain trust. We have within research-based businesses more personnel that have advanced degrees and doctorates than we have in our nation's colleges and universities. So that's something that also the SBA takes into consideration when they continue to fund the SBIR program from year to year. The SBA actually provides oversight for SBIR, just to give you some idea of how that structure is laid out. And with the ultimate goal is to develop new products that address these critical need areas, either in general society and commercial market, or within maybe the agency's internal operations in a way that's not currently being done, or maybe not at all, or just in a better, more efficient way to solve those problem areas. This is a list of all the 11 different agencies that do participate in the program. So you can see there's quite a few, a range here. I've broken them apart a little bit intentionally to give you an idea of which ones are traditionally grant agencies versus contract agencies. Has anyone heard the terms grant and contract and have maybe a small understanding of the difference between? Just to kind of shed some light on that, a grant agency is usually one that's not interested in being your end customer. They have very broad research topics that you can address with the responsive proposal application, but their ultimate goal is to see the technology move all the way from your laboratory or field to commercial market where it serves a societal need. So they're generally pretty open to talking with you throughout the year about your idea, giving you some feedback as to whether or not be a strong fit for their particular agency's program. And the other agencies that are at the bottom here are traditionally contract agencies, which means that they do want to be your end customer, at least initially. So their topics are much more narrow in scope than you'll find within the broader grant agency topics, since they know exactly what they need to use for their internal agency's purposes. Just to give you an example, maybe with the Department of Defense, for example, they know exactly what their military needs on the battlefield to be more efficient, to be more safe, have less risk of injuries, that kind of thing. So they may have research topics within the Army's Medical Material Command that are very specific to a certain type of device they need that's portable, that can be used on the field to immediately address injuries in a way that's not currently available for the military warfighter. So you'll see that those topics are very specific, and ultimately the goal would be, like I mentioned, the agency would be your initial customer. They would continue to invest in you until they have their needs met through your product or service, and then you have the right to go out to commercial market with that product and continue to sell. So it's it's probably the best source of funding for early stage technology businesses to get movement from traction with their idea, moving all the way from idea to commercial market. These are not types of projects that generally can get funding through traditional sources like bank loans, for example. So this is really a great place to get your start if you fit into this kind of category. And this, at the bottom here, the SBIR.gov is the official federal site for the SBIR program. It's a great one-stop shop to learn more about the details. Since I'm not going to get into everything today, that's a great place to learn more and go directly to these agencies' homepages to check them out. Within our own state, we have tons of companies that have been successful with the program that are also clients of our center. The most recent ones I've put pictures of here, and I could tell you a little bit about them. Ozark Integrated Circuits is the one on the left here. They are a Fayetteville-based company that they're focused on developing integrated circuit designs that are silicon carbide based. So what that means is their products involve circuitry that work well even in high extreme environmental conditions, maybe very high temperatures, for example, or deep under the earth. Their products will still be able to operate effectively. So, for example, in space, where conditions are much more varied with the temperatures and altitude and all of that, they still are able to go out there and help with performing missions using their products built into other hardware and software products. They actually just received an award, a SBIR Phase 2 award from NASA to develop a UV imager. And if anyone from here subscribes to our newsletter called Lab to Launch, you might have read a little bit about that recent award. Excuse me. So this is very exciting news, getting all the way to Phase 2. They're probably one of the few companies that have done this in the last few years within the state, gotten to Phase 2 through NASA. At least that's a very tough agency to move to that second phase. But what that allowed them to do is develop the prototype of their UV imager. Yes?
Can you tell us the size of the award?
Yes. Well, with this one, they're still finalizing the contract, but the average size is going to be about $750,000. So I did skip over that briefly. The Phase 1 awards, where you traditionally start, is about $150,000 award for 6 months. The goal is really to get to Phase 2, where the award size is larger and you have more time. You have 2 years. Awards can be up to $1 million, but for some agencies, they're a little bit smaller just because they have smaller budgets to work with. So this is a good size award. It could also lead to NASA being their initial customer and continue to fund them for this product, which really, and it's taking pictures of different planetary compositions. It also has Earth applications looking at the ozone layer, cloud composition, that kind of thing. So things that are very important both in the earthly realm and in space, that all can be addressed through their products. So they have a great website as well. I'd recommend checking them out to see what they're up to. They will also be at this event I'll be talking about in just a moment, the SBIR Road Tour that's coming up in Little Rock. The second recent awardee who will be featured in today's Lab to Launch newsletter is Infinite Enzymes. And this is a biotech company, plant-based company based out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Dr. Beth Hood, who's pictured here, is actually a distinguished professor over at Arkansas State University, as well as being the CEO of her own company, Infinite Enzymes. And her company's actually won several USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture awards through the SBIR program. And this very latest one involves using enzymes from maize or corn-based products to help with biofuel production. So it's a new way to create biofuel, and the goal is to be able to scale up the process and make it affordable at lower costs than other options available today for biofuel production using a renewable resource. So enzymes is a different thing than actually using the corn, which I think a lot of people might think of the entire product as corn anyway. But her story will be interesting to read about. I think the article will give you some more explanation, as well as a link to the abstract summary of what this will entail. So these are two great examples of recent Arkansas success stories who've been successful through SBIR. We have others on our website, but I won't have time to go into those at this point. So check us out on our website. Another event that I really wanted to bring to your attention, it's because it's a very unique opportunity, is the upcoming SBIR Road Tour. This is a nationwide outreach that's being brought to us by the Small Business Administration, which I mentioned earlier, jointly funds our center and provides oversight for the SBIR program. The road tour hasn't been to Arkansas since 2002, so there was a long break after that 2002 tour where they didn't go to any of the states, and they just started this back up last year. So now we're back on the running for being on as part of the tour. What this means is that the agency representatives from 9 of the different agencies, all listed, I'll have those on the next slide, or on flyers as well over here, but they include NIH, NSF, the Department of Energy, NASA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and several components of the Department of Defense will be all in attendance at this event. This is unique because the agency is actually coming to you rather than you coming to them or reaching out to them by phone or email. They're coming to you to talk with you about your project ideas, to give you some direct feedback about those, and to provide presentations beforehand about their agency's program to give you some idea of the nuances, how to be successful with them versus another agency, what they really look for when they evaluate proposal applications. So I highly recommend, if you do have an idea that you'd like to have some one-on-one conversation, take advantage of this opportunity. It doesn't happen that often that you have a chance to really directly engage with these agency program managers. And so And they're great sources of feedback, and will be able to tell you whether or not your project idea may be a match for them, and maybe some ideas of how you might modify what you have now to be a stronger match if you've already kind of got something drafted up. So I'd recommend attending that. It'll be Tuesday, April 19th at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock within our Reynolds Business Center. So it's convenient location, and so we'll have that. They'll be here all that morning from 8 to noon. And we do have 3 panel sessions lined up for that afternoon as well. So there's good reason to stick around. Ozark Integrated Circuits and Dr. Beth Hood of Infinite Enzymes will be in the first afternoon panel, also joined by Synanimate, which is a Euler spin-out company that's developed a new nano-based process for water purification. So we have 3 Arkansas awardee panelists that'll be talking about their experiences with the SBIR program, what lessons learned, tips for being successful. They will also hear from some of our state organizations like the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, Arkansas Development Finance Authority. Dr. Steve Stanley and Brad Henry will be talking about some supplemental state funding you can examine as a supplement to these SBIR funding awards as well. And the third panel that we'll have will be featuring some technology transfer representatives from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. Their director of BioVentures is Dr. Nancy Gray. She's got some great experience within the medical industry as well as working with the university side as well. And within our university, we'll have Glediana Rexa talking about tech launch and how Euler's technology transfer office also supports researchers from the university. So that will be a great event to stay from start to finish if you can, but definitely for the morning sessions, engaging with those agencies one-on-one, I'd highly recommend signing up for that. We will offer breakfast and lunch for that event, and the registration charge is $50 to cover that. So this is the link where you can get to our landing page about the road tour. It's also on the flyer as well if you want to grab one when you have a chance. Again, I would just kind of outline the highlights of this event and reasons to attend. And so thank you all. I'll be happy to take any questions you have. This is my contact information, so you can reach out to me directly, as well as our social media handles and Facebook pages, things like that, where you can follow what we're doing. We always try to promote the latest news and upcoming events. So thank you very much.
Everybody give Rebecca a round of applause. So I want to start off with a real quick question. Can you talk just briefly about the different things that applying for a grant does for your company? Getting the CAGE code, being able to enter a DoD contract, or that type of thing. So even just going through the process, it kind of checks a lot of boxes for growing your business down the road, right?
Right. Yes, there are a lot of preliminary steps that are important to take before you even start the drafting of your proposal. So like Spencer mentioned, our center is really equipped. Really, it's me that does all these things with you as the innovation consultant, but I help you with all the steps with registration. Those can be very cumbersome steps, registering with places like the System for Awards Management. That can take a couple hours to complete and a little bit tricky. So if you come to me, that's something that I can help walk you through all those steps. It is a good learning experience too, because you learn how to get your company properly set up to receive federal funding after you've already been established as a state company within the Secretary of State office. So that's very important to do that kind of thing, as well as searching previously funded projects through the SBIR program and previous topics, and I guide you through those steps as well. Yes. Hi. Hi, Joe.
What is the time lag between submission of an application and acceptance, and then from acceptance and funding?
All right, that's a great question. Yes, generally it does take 4 to 6 months after you submit before you receive notice of award. So there is a bit of a wait, and it can vary by agency. Sometimes agencies will also give you a preliminary notice that they're considering your proposal, but they want a little bit more information first. So maybe within a couple months, you'll hear, hey, can you give us a little bit more information about this budget discussion? What exactly do you need to go on these 3 trips for? So you might get kind of a little bit of hint that you're in the running, but to be conservative, it still takes about 4 to 6 months to get notice of award. But once you do, you start performing at that point by the 6 months at least. And so yes.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Sure, thank you.
I hope everybody understands what a big deal it really is to have these guys coming back and getting that feedback's really really important. Two-part question for you. Number one is, how many people will call you looking for free money every week? And then kind of related to that, actually, so if you're not a rocket scientist and you are more of the entrepreneurial side of things, have you seen instances where, there is a connection between the person who'd like to grow and scale a company and the scientist who has the idea that have joined together, but for those of us who, don't have the PhD?
Sure. For your first question about how often we get calls, we do have a good system, I think, where our front desk person has been well trained to answer questions that come in about how can I get some free money to get my project going. And of course, there is no such thing as free money, no matter which way you go. And grants, especially for small businesses, this is probably the majority of the grants would be through the SBIR program. There are some other smaller grant funding opportunities specific to education and manufacturing, for example. But for the most part, that's something that they're kind of, that's explained at the front end before they even reach me. So I couldn't tell you how many calls come in on that. But that's a good point that we do receive a number. And on the second issue, yes, if you are not necessarily a scientist person, but are interested in collaborating and maybe sharing your management and business expertise with a scientist to help grow their team, that's something that would be very valuable. And really, a lot of the people I work with don't have that naturally already built in with their team. So they'll often ask, I needed someone to help on the business side of things to help us be more qualified both on paper and our proposal and the actual performance if we are selected for award. Someone that wants to help with the day-to-day management, with the maybe accounting and keeping up those the time cards, making sure everything's in place. So definitely there's a need for the researchers to connect with business people that might be wanting to collaborate with them. So yeah, that's something that I recommend. I mean, if you are interested in serving that capacity, definitely reaching out to our center and letting us know that you'd like to be kind of considered as someone who might be willing to partner. And also often just make introductions when I do know of someone in the community that might be a good fit for either an advisory board, a consultant, or a potential management team member. It'd all be conditional upon award, but that person could still be funded through the grant to serve for the duration of the project if it's funded. So there's different ways in which you could serve. It's just a matter of making sure that you reach out to us, get introductions, and that kind of thing to connect with the entrepreneurs that are research-based. So thank you. I hope that helps answer your question. Yeah. Okay, great.
Rebecca, John
Yes.
Chamberlain.
Yes, John.
I've got a question and then something you might comment on. The questions, how do we get your newsletter?
Okay. Right now, there's a way to get through it through our Facebook page. You can sign up there. For some reason, the link is at this very moment not working. We just checked it yesterday. The link on our website to sign up is not functional at this moment. Or you can send me your information and I can go in and add you to our list just manually. So I'd be happy to do that if you want me to. I've got some cards out here. You can reach out to me or just let me know your information.
And the other thing is, from these agencies' viewpoints, SBIRs are part of a whole ecosystem of research commercialization. And some of the agencies have the ICOR, the Innovation Corps,
right.
NSF, and NIH.
Right.
And as I understand it, ULR, I guess I probably should say ICOR is sort of a pre-accelerator. It's where a scientist could go form a team that has a business mentor and do the work to establish some market need before they would apply for SBIRs. And I think ULR is going to have an ICOR pre-accelerator running in May, and that would be a great opportunity. Some of those teams need business mentors.
That's a good point. Yes, I've heard. I've kind of been in the loop on the May training that you mentioned coming up. That there'll be some Euler teams involved with ICOR training, and then the technology transfer person I mentioned earlier from our university, GLED Rexa, has invited some of our staff to join just to kind of get a feel for how that works and maybe serve as advisors and mentors however they need us to. So that's a really good point. That I believe Carol Reeves is heading up a program at Fayetteville as well. That's connected to that May event at UALR. So yes, the I-Corps program is another one to check out. That does involve students engaging with faculty to work with businesses that need to explore the commercialization opportunity for their products. That really involves kind of doing the groundwork, reaching out directly to potential customers, asking them questions that help to inform how this technology would best fit into what their current need is. And that helps in turn the research company to develop something that will be readily implemented into what they need as potential customers. So it's a very, very important program, and it's one I've seen also that, especially pre-phase 2, after you want a phase 1, that's when the commercialization plan is especially important for that program. So having an I-Corps team do some work with you before you submit your phase 2 would be a great opportunity if you're in an agency that has that program. Oh, yes.
Morning, Chris
Morning.
Atkinson.
Hi.
So my question is, I guess specifically or generally, what are some of the expectations if you receive those monies? Maybe speak to the 2 examples you showed, or in general, what are the agencies expecting from the businesses or the innovators?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. The agencies really expect performance on the proposal that's been submitted to them. The proposal has many different components, one of the most important being the work plan, where the applicant really outlines what are the 3 to 5 questions they plan to answer within the 6-month project performance period, and what are the tasks that are involved to answer that question. So it's very detailed. It includes all of the key personnel that will be involved in answering all those questions and conducting the task level work. Includes mention of facilities, resources, any travel that's needed. Those kinds of things are all laid out in the proposal. So the agencies really expect performance on the project as proposed. And there can be cases where it's just there's something that comes up while never always, it's not always the case that things go as planned. So in those cases, it just needs to be communicated to the agency why the original approach didn't work out, but what alternative strategy did, and share that with the program manager. They usually ask for interim reports midway through the project to see how things are progressing, as well as a final report, which they will evaluate to kind of assess whether or not they feel that that company was successful in completing the proposed objectives. And so from there, they really that's really how they assess whether or not the team was able to accomplish their objectives. It's still a competitive process even after phase 1, although there's a greater chance of winning a phase 2 than once you've already proven your credibility in that first phase. But same deal with phase 2. You still have to compete and show that you have a strong plan and strong team for accomplishing your objectives.
Okay, this is the point, Rebecca, where we open it up to you. You get to ask all of these fine, wonderful people one ask, and it can be anything. It can be go to this website, click this link, send me memes, whatever you want. You can ask them to do anything. So
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I would encourage you to reach out to me. I mean, I'm sure that all of you are at different stages, have different projects of interest, but this is a very rare opportunity. The SBIR Road Tour is something that we don't offer regularly, like with other events that we have at our center, other services that are always going to be there for you. This is something that just doesn't come around every single day. So I'd really encourage you to check out the site and look into it, see if this might be a fit for what you're wanting to do, share with your colleagues, others that you know that would be interested. And from there, just reach out to our center. There's something called a quad chart that the agencies want to see before they meet with you in person, just to help prepare for the one-on-one session they'll have with you. And that's something that we can help you review and prepare as well. So I guess my ask is just to check out the landing page for the SBIR Road Tour, see what you think about that. If you have any questions at all, just ask me, and I hope that you can make it to that event.
You heard her. Go to the Road Tour and reach out to her. Those are her asks. So everybody give her one last round of applause.
Thank you.
So I want to kind of echo what Mike was saying about this being really, really big deal, because it really is like this, what it does for your company to even just go through the process, even if you don't get it, is so big. It lines you up to, the cage codes, the different things, the infrastructure in place. You learn a lot about your company by the questions they ask, right? So it really is a huge deal, and we're lucky to have a resource like her in our state available to us. So This concludes it. You don't have to leave. You can stay, drink coffee, network, mingle, do what you want to do. But you have to do one thing, and that is have a great rest of the Wednesday. So you guys take care.